Hi, I'm Deborah Stengel, founder of Sedona Soul Adventures and international best-selling author of The Journey to Happy. Today I'm going to be talking to you about what to do when your marriage is in trouble. Let's face it, marriage or being in a long-term relationship is hard. Even if you start off really in love and being really committed, just the day-to-dayness of life can take the sizzle out of any relationship. And then if you've got a real crisis or a real problem or situation, for example, if one person has been unfaithful, then you've got a real problem on your hands. So, what do you do about it? Well, for many people, say 50% of the population, they throw in the towel and they get a divorce. But what most people don't know is that the divorce rate for second and third marriages is even higher. 67% of second marriages and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. And why is that? Because people are not learning from the mistakes from their first marriage or their second marriage. I was a divorce attorney in Omaha, Nebraska for 20 years, and I can tell you, divorce is hard, and it almost always ends up harming people, both emotionally and financially, not to mention what it does psychologically to the children that are involved. So what to do when your marriage is in trouble? The simple answer is you've got to do something. You have to start talking to each other. You have to start communicating with each other. You have to reach out and do something to start moving things around. And the sooner you catch it, the better your chances are. But here's what to do if you don't want to become one of the statistics. You've got to get underneath and figure out what's really happening. What's causing all this? What's triggering you? And after 20 years as a divorce attorney and over 16 years of doing couples work with Sedona Soul Adventures, I can tell you that what you're fighting about is never what you're really fighting about. What's really happening is that the unhealed and damaged little boy is trying to get love from the unhealed and damaged little girl. And when you've got two damaged and unhealed little children inside, it's pretty difficult to have a conscious, loving relationship. Have you seen this sculpture that was done by Alexander Milov at the Burning Man Festival a few years ago? I love this image because it perfectly illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. Almost all of our struggles, but especially within intimate relationships, is just a cry for love. The wounded little boy and the wounded little girl are just trying to get love. But because we're coming from a place of wounding, it can be really hard to get the love that we want. So then we divorce that person, move on to another person, but because we're still wounded and still coming from that wounding, and because our soul wants that wound to be healed, we run into the same problems with that person. And then we leave them and become part of the 67%. It keeps happening over and over because we're not getting at the root cause that's creating all the trouble. The wounded little boy and the wounded little girl. You have to get underneath the issues and figure that out. That's what brings people back together. In the 20 years that I was a divorce attorney, I sent all of my clients to therapy. And I have to say, in that entire time, it never helped. Not in one situation. And I think that's because it's mainly talking. It's not really getting underneath what's going on, what the underpinnings are. We had a couple here last year who were here because of the wife's infidelity. And the husband had forgiven her. The problem was he felt like she didn't truly love him. And when we dug a little bit, we discovered that she felt like he didn't really love her. She had grown up in a family where no matter what she did, she couldn't please her father. And so she kept going out trying to find someone who really loved her, but because she had this wound, that's not what she was finding. She was finding men who were critical, judgmental, and not demonstrative. And the amazing thing is, the man she had the affair with and was actually thinking about leaving her husband for was the same way. Not demonstrative, not really showing love to her, but it was just her soul's way of going on and trying to find another way of healing that wound. Same thing with the husband. He grew up in a family where his mother was always on him and judging him. And if he wasn't getting straight A's and wasn't being the star athlete, then he wasn't okay. They both had these wounds of, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not lovable. We did clearing sessions with both of them individually and then brought them back together. And the amazing thing is that once that hole is filled up, because that's what it feels like when you have that kind of a wounding. It feels like a hole that can't ever be filled up. But it was filled up for both of them. And when you fill that up with love for yourself and then love for the other person, it's absolutely amazing what can happen. So if you're in this situation, you really need to look underneath what you're at odds about and figuring out what's causing the real trouble. Where are your unhealed parts showing up? That's pretty hard to do by yourself. Most of us can't see our own stuff even when it's right in front of our faces. So if you need some help with that, please contact us. Go to SedonaRetreatGuide.com and get your complimentary copy of the Sedona Guide to Couples Retreats. And if you'd like to talk to someone about doing a couples retreat that's custom designed for you, call us at 928-204-5988. You can have the life or relationship you want. I know it.